Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Stand up for your country. A lot of things going on. Sometimes we forget there's a civil war underway in America between traditional folks and the progressives. What that's all about is that traditional people believe that the United States is a noble nation, and we want to tweak it. We want improvement. Certainly we need some. But the progressives feel that we are not a noble nation. They want to wipe out pretty much everything and start over. So that is the Civil War. Now, it was not a good day yesterday for the progressive left movement, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So, as you probably know by now, Chesa Boudin was fired by the people of San Francisco, and it's an amazing thing, because that is the most liberal city in the country by far, San Francisco. I mean, these are loons out there. Yet, 60% of them voted to recall the DA, Chesa Boudin. 40% wanted to keep him. The 40%, I have no idea. Now, it wasn't even a hard call. And this was a landslide, by the way. 75,000 votes to boot him, 50,000 votes to keep him. All you had to do, and I was in San Francisco, as you may know, a couple of weeks ago, is look at the place. And you'll see hundreds, probably thousands of zombies, drug-addicted people, mentally ill people walking around the streets, many of whom are committing crimes. Others are offending sensibilities by all kinds of conduct that is, in public, not acceptable. And Chesa Boudin couldn't care less. And as crime rose in San Francisco, he didn't do anything. He didn't prosecute most crimes. Because Chesa Boudin believes that the United States is responsible for these people on the street. It's not their fault, they're committing crimes. It's our fault, the country's fault. I mean, this is insane, but that's what he believes. So I'm not even going to bother with him anymore. He's gone. Now the mayor, London Breed, who's another left-wing loon, appoints another DA. But the message was sent, if this can happen in San Francisco, it can happen anywhere. Down in Los Angeles to the south, there was a mayoral vote between Congresswoman Karen Bass, who is an ardent leftist, and a businessman, a billionaire named Rick Caruso. Well, Caruso won the vote, 41% to 38%, but you got to get over 50% to get in, so there's a runoff in November, but Caruso's in good shape to win it, because the same thing is going on in LA that's going on in San Francisco. There's no law enforcement, and quality of life in Los Angeles has declined drastically. So you want to put another left-wing loon in there? Is that what you want to do? No. Angelenos, and again, a very liberal place, Los Angeles. And they're going to give power to Caruso. I can almost guarantee, unless something happens, of course. But the real indicator in Los Angeles is only 25% of Angelenos showed up to vote yesterday for mayor. So 75%, even though the city has gone down in every way, declined dramatically, 75% go, we don't care. All right. Then you're going to have homeless people living on your front lawn, and if you park your car on the street, it'll likely be broken into. Now, here's an exception, and I saw this. I went and I walked it. Beverly Hills, perhaps the richest neighborhood in the nation, doesn't have these problems, because Beverly Hills is a separate city. It's not Los Angeles. It's right in the middle of Los Angeles, but it's a separate place with its separate police, a separate justice system, everything. There aren't any homeless people there. None. They don't exist there. And I walked around pretty thoroughly in downtown Beverly Hills. No, not there. Santa Barbara, another affluent city, yes, they were there. Not Beverly Hills, because they enforce vagrancy laws there. Cops would come in, sweep you. You spend a couple of days in the Beverly Hills jail, and then you can't get your drugs. Then you go into withdrawal. They're not going to do it. Nobody there. It's just a very interesting thing. So the quality of life in Beverly Hills is not declined, but if you go out of Beverly Hills, Santa Barbara is a mess. Not Santa Barbara, Santa Monica. Santa Monica, an absolute mess. And all the coastal communities south, crazy. So anyway, I took a good look around. Now, because of what happened yesterday, George Gascon, who is the DA in LA County, there's George, he's Soros' buddy. George Soros funded his campaign. He's another one who won't enforce the law. And that's why you have all these problems in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County. He's going to be recalled. Okay, so they need 65,000 more votes. After yesterday, they get him. And he'll go on the ballot to be recalled, and he'll be booted. I can guarantee it. Just like we predicted the San Francisco thing, Boudin, I predicted that 6 months ago, December, I believe. Gascon, he's going to be going. Now, this is good. All of this is good because it sends a signal to the country that enough's enough. So George Soros, he's given an amazing amount of money to all of these progressive politicians who are ruining the country. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. Now, here in New York, where I am, we have a guy named Alan Bragg. All right? And he's the same kind of guy. He just will not enforce the law. In fact, 90% of suspects arrested on gun charges, all right, 2020, before Bragg took over, were out. They didn't hold them. That was Morgenthau. But Bragg's worse. An article in the New York Post today about a guy named Nolan Gonzalez, who's got like 40 priors, 5 this year, goes to Macy's, steals $1,000 worth of merchandise or something, $350 worth of Tommy Hilfiger goods, felony. Okay? He's got all this on his sheet. He's a drug addict. Okay? And Bragg's not going to prosecute him. What? Doesn't hold him. I mean, it's just, Gonzalez has been arrested 5 times this year. And Macy's is going, the guy just keeps coming in and stealing stuff. What are you going to do? And you know he doesn't get caught every time he does it. But this guy, Alan Bragg, put his picture up again. He's a disaster for the city of New York. Now, he cannot be recalled. We don't have that here. Have it in Jersey, don't have it in New York. But Hochul, the governor, can remove him. Think Hochul's going to remove an African-American DA? No, no matter how bad things get. All right, I mentioned George Soros. So he's behind all the progressive movement. It's his money that's driving this and destroying parts of the country. So let's go over Soros in a very methodical way. Put it up on the screen, please, for those on radio. I'll run it down for you. He was born August 12, 1930 in Budapest, Hungary. That makes him 91 years old. Forbes estimates Soros is worth $8.6 billion. In 1956, Soros moved to New York City at the age of 26. In 1961, he became a U.S. citizen. In 1973, he established a Soros fund, an investment fund, later known as a quantum endowment fund, and he made billions of dollars. In 2002, French authorities charged him with insider trading. He was convicted and fined $3 million in France, which he had to pay. Now, the U.S. does not extradite because there was no jail time involved. All right, he was tried in absentia. So he stayed in the USA, but had to pay the fine. 2004, Soros pledged millions of dollars to MoveOn.org, a vicious left-wing group, to oppose the re-election of President Bush. All right, then he really swung into action. Between 2018 and 21, George Soros financed radical Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx, you remember her, and Chicago is one of the most dangerous places in the country largely because of Kim Foxx and Lori Lightfoot, the mayor. Also, the city of St. Louis falling completely apart, he financed the city attorney Kim Gardner. He also financed George Gascon, as we told you, and the radical Philadelphia DA Lawrence Krasner. He put in more than $8 million to these campaigns, George Soros. Okay, he also gave Stacey Abrams, again running for governor, $1 million, and he'll give her $1 million more. And how does he do this? He does it through political action committees. All of these donations to the progressive far lefts are legal. And finally, the midterm elections. Currently, Soros is the top individual donor on the progressive side for the 2022 midterms. He's contributed $126 million so far. Can you imagine this? All right. And one of the groups that he pumps money into on a regular basis, Color of Change, that was the group that attacked me 5 years ago. And I know Soros was behind that. I can't prove it. It's just my opinion. But I'm working it. Color of Change. George Soros. Because I was an early Soros critic. He hates me. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. I am an AMAC member, and you should be too. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful takes on today's news, and a magazine full of uncensored content that you will not find anywhere else. Most importantly, AMAC is working tirelessly to preserve the freedoms enshrined and secured by our Constitution. AMAC has become one of the most impactful organizations in America because more than just talk, AMAC gets things done. They are pushing back against the efforts to defund our police, weaken the borders, and replace your freedom with government control. But they need your help. Stand with me and more than 2 million patriots and join AMAC today at amac.us. That's AMAC.us. amac.us, and tell them O'Reilly sent you. Joining us now is a woman, one of the only journalists in the country following George Soros, Cheryl Chumley, who works at the Washington Times. She has a book, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, a very fine book called Lockdown, The Socialist Plan to Take Away Your Freedom, and George Soros is right in the middle of that book. And she joins us now from Northern Virginia. All right, Cheryl, so I ran down Soros, and I know that you are writing and working on exposing him through a group that's watching him. Tell us about that. It's opensecrets.com. Is that what it is?
opensecrets.org. And thank you for having me to talk about this issue. Open Secrets is a nonprofit, and it's the Center for Responsive Politics that partnered with another group that used to track state campaigns and state dollars. And so now they're joined together, they're taking a look at both federal and state campaign cash, and they cover everything. They're an amazing outlet. They cover PACs, super PACs, and more importantly, that dark money. In 2020 election season alone, Open Secrets found that $1 billion were pumped into dark money outlets, and another $3 billion went from foreign sources to U.S. lobbying efforts between the years 2016 and 2021. So the money that's influencing our own elected officials is astounding, and it's really astonishing when you start looking at the numbers for George Soros and other leftist groups alone.
Okay, now explain what dark money is.
So unlike PACs, right, which have reporting requirements to the FEC and have limits on contributions, it's, for instance, $5,000 per candidate that a PAC can contribute, and it's like $15,000 per committee. Super PACs, on the other hand, have reporting requirements to the FEC but don't have limits. Dark money groups, however, have no limits on the number of dollars that can be siphoned to committees, and they also don't have to report to the FEC their donors. So all this money that feeds into dark money groups can then, in turn, be given to PACs and super PACs. So this is where it becomes very difficult to track down the dollars that are going to any given candidate.
And those groups, they can buy television commercials, they can buy radio spots, they can buy staff, the people who go out and bundle votes. They can do a whole bunch of things. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, we learned after the fact, pumped millions of dollars into the presidential campaign to try to get more votes for Joe Biden. But that's not, Zuckerberg didn't do dark money. That was a direct thing, right?
Right. And here's an example. You brought up Alvin Bragg in Manhattan, right? So he received $1.1 million, but not directly from George Soros. He received it from groups that George Soros supported. So you can see where that tracking becomes very difficult. If you want to research all the races and all the candidates at any given time in America, it's nearly impossible for one person to do, which is why Open Secrets is so great. It's your go-to for that kind of information. But it's also very difficult for the average voter to understand where that money goes.
Yeah, and do you know how many groups Soros funds? How many of these groups he has lined up to do what he wants done? Do you know how many?
I'm going to say conservatively hundreds. And here's what I base it on. Since 2016, right, George Soros' money from PACs has funded to the tune of $29 million, roughly 20 district attorney races. That's just the DA races. And what gets confusing about that is that they're called different races depending on the state. In Virginia, it's the Commonwealth's attorney. There's also other terms, circuit attorney. So you have to take that into consideration. But George Soros has also established in almost every state in the nation these PACs that are called justice and safety PACs or public safety and justice PACs. And into that gets funneled Soros-tied money, which in turn gets funneled into certain groups and candidates depending on the amount. Then you have, of course, George Soros's Open Society Foundation, which you can go to Open Secrets and track where all the tentacles of donations go on that. So I'm going to guess conservatively hundreds of groups that George Soros is tied to in terms of funding.
Now, Soros's philosophy is he doesn't want incarceration for criminals, right? Particularly minority criminals. He believes it's society's fault that they're committing those crimes. He doesn't want border enforcement. He wants an open border. He wants legalized narcotics. Doesn't want any drug enforcement. Does he want socialism? Is he pushing socialism?
Well, not directly, right? He doesn't come out and wave a banner saying, I'm a socialist. But if you look at what socialism entails, part and parcel of socialist government and society is the crippling of law enforcement. It's the division of law enforcement and the justice system. Here in America, we're supposed to have justice is blind, right? But how Democrats work, how the left works, how socialists work is they create these different groups that then they pit against each other. So they all fall on warring factions, which is where the government then can come in and pretend to create calm out of the chaos. So going after the justice system in America is certainly one way to advance a socialist type agenda.
Yeah, and he wants to break it down entirely, defund the police. He's behind that. He's behind all. Now, he's going to die soon, Soros, but his son, I hear, is even more radical than he is, and his son is running a lot of these operations, correct?
His son's name I have seen already on Open Secrets, reporting and tracking of money. I haven't dived into specifically what his sons are involved in yet, but it seems a legacy. It seems, that's what's going to be passed down in their family.
Now, the midterm elections, largely people believe the Republicans are going to take both houses now because of the debacle of the Biden administration and the Democratic Party. But that's not going to inhibit Soros. He's going to continue to pump as much money as he can to try to influence the voters who don't know very much. They call them low information voters, to try to get this propaganda out on radio and television. And, if you were a district attorney, if you're running and you have 2 million and your opponent has 300,000, you can overwhelm. Now, final question is, Soros and Gascon, the DA in LA County, they're like this. But Gascon, I think, is toast now because of what happened to Boudin. How do you see it?
Well, I would agree with you, but I would also caution about cheering too loudly about Boudin and about Gascon and so forth, because in the wings are scores more of Soros-funded candidates that are coming to the forefront. For instance, Albuquerque, New Mexico's District Attorney, Raul Torres, he was elected in 2016, I think it was, with only about $107,000 worth of Soros-tied money, but he was running unopposed, so that money was really not even necessary. Under his tenure, homicides have just jumped this year to 102, which is record amounts. Last year, they were only 67. This guy just this week won his Democratic primary for the state's attorney general. So it's not just Soros wins and losses for certain candidates. It's about getting Soros's candidates in the pipeline so that they can then move on to higher offices.
It's amazing because thousands of people are dying because of George Soros and his philosophy. So once again, it's opensecrets.org. All the listeners and viewers of the No Spin News should write that down and check in. And then Cheryl Chumley's book, Lock Down the Socialist Plan to Take Away Your Freedom. It's out in the marketplace and you might get it. Cheryl, thanks very much as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Supply chain issues have been a catalyst in bringing high-tech manufacturing back to the USA. My tech expert and founder of Brownstone Research calls it the Great Recalibration, and he discusses it in his newsletter, Near Future Report. For the past 35 years, he has helped his subscribers safely navigate volatile times, and he also answers your most pressing questions, like how to protect your money from inflation. What are the implications of a new digital currency and the Great Reset? What will the Fed do with interest rates? And what is expected from the stock market in 2022? Brownstone Research has been at the forefront of nearly every major market move for the past 35 years. Let Jeff Brown help you by signing up for his newsletter today at a 75% discount. It's a 12-month subscription for only $49. Please go to jeffbrowntech.com. 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 All right, final thought, I can't cook. Terrible cook. I can pour the cereal into the bowl with the milk. I can put the soup in the pot and heat it. I can put pre-made food in the microwave. And sometimes I can't start the microwave, but most of the time I can. But cooking, no. So I go out to eat. And I have my little restaurants that I like. But now all the prices are up about 20, 25%. Now you can tell if they have a new menu in your favorite restaurant. There you go. Some of the restaurants, and these are local restaurants. This is in Manhattan. Okay, I got to go in there tomorrow night and eat. And you go to Manhattan and eat in a restaurant, you know you're going to get hammered. But it is Long Island. Some of the entrees are now $40 and up. I'm talking veal chop and steak and things like that. $40 and up. I mean, that's an investment. So here is my tip, and I think this will help you if you like to eat out. Because you can't be paying for a family of four $150 to eat out. I mean, that's insane, right? If you're working people. So put a big jar or a medium-sized jar in your kitchen, okay? And then everyone in the house, when they come in to the house, they put all their loose change in the jar. And after 2 weeks, you're going to have some money, and you take it to the bank, they give you bills, all right, and then you use that money to eat out in a restaurant. You see? So that works. So I got this jar, and the urchins, under martial law, they come in, they got change right in the jar. Okay, and we go. And it works. Okay? Because now, this is serious business. Everything is double what it was when Trump was president. Pretty much everything. And if you say, oh no, O'Reilly, this hasn't gone up, look at the package. The package is down 20, 25%. So you're buying your Wheaties or anything, I'm just using this example. I don't know Wheaties for sure. But the package is smaller. That's shrinkage, inflation shrinkage. So they don't charge you more money. They just give you, less product everywhere. So we are under siege, which is why Biden is failing so badly. Can't do this to the people. Once again, I hate to be repetitive, but this is the stat. Under Trump, inflation 1.4%. Under Biden, approaching 11% in 17 months. That's a crisis. Most people don't have much money. And salaries are not going up to match the inflationary things. That's why we give you the books. That's why we're trying to make your life better in any way we can. I think that's my responsibility here. But the jar thing in the kitchen works because I don't want you not to eat out. I want you, you want to go have a breakfast after church or whatever. But take that money and then the pain won't be as much. All right. I hope you didn't experience any pain watching and listening to the No Spin News, and we will see you tomorrow. Inflation now at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. A recession may loom. Our retirement accounts are in real danger. If you want to protect your future, do what I did. Call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They are the highest rated firm in the country, A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and thousands of satisfied clients. Plus, tell them O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. So don't wait. Please call now, 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.